Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. It's a beautiful Sunday. I guess this is the fourth Sunday of Easter. Maybe we'll start with announcements this morning. Yeah, why not? I got EYC tonight. Hey, Caitlin, good morning. How are you? Haha, I can wave now. Go away. Yeah, so EYC tonight, we're going to be playing a t-shirt game that Emily recommended. Not Emily, Emmy, excuse me. Next week, we're going to try and do a Bible trivia. I'm looking forward to that. I think that should be cool. I'm doing good, Caitlin. Thank you. I'm happy to hear that you're doing well as well, too. Yeah, so next week, I'm going to try and do like a Bible trivia thing. We'll see what that looks like, how that'll go. Meredith actually came up with that idea for us, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. That'll be cool. I'm going to try and put that together for us next week. Bible study again on Wednesday.
Hold on. Good
So, yeah.
morning. Actually,
Hey,
that was
Mom, good
Mom's
morning.
idea because I'm doing that with my team.
Oh, oh, Meredith did not give Mom credit for that one.
It's okay. We're all part of the same team.
Yeah.
I'm outside.
Um,
Oop, did I lose you?
I'm losing you a little bit, but that's okay.
There, I'm back.
Yeah, no, you're here.
It was
Um,
buffering.
so we had Psalm 23 this morning in our lectionary. How about that?
What?
Psalm
Say that again.
23?
Oh, Psalm 23. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, yeah, that
you
one.
were cutting out.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
that was funny.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, I kind of already addressed that as like, yes, we should walk instead of run through the valley of the shadow of death kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like now we don't have much of a choice but to walk. There really, it doesn't feel like there is much of an opportunity to kind of run through this. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but the alternative is to not walk or run at all. So you
Right,
do have a
right, right, right.
choice. You still have a choice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, so I was thinking about that in the sense of um, kind of the way Father Rob took it this morning with like rest and relaxation in the first part of the psalm, and I really liked that. Um, Especially with the idea of like us better being able to handle the world around us when we have been resting and relaxing, when we have taken that time to like appreciate the moments when we're being offered to lie down in green pastures and whatnot. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
and
yeah.
I like the part I like about that passage is, when it, like the sheep knows the shepherd's voice. That's
Mm.
not necessarily that psalm, but that the
Yeah.
gospel reading, right? And you know, lets me lie down in green pastures. We don't like that. Doesn't It's hard for us to equate what that means in our world, but if you think back to to what you correlate it to where we are now, it is that shutting everything off and truly relaxing. Because I know for me, truly relaxing is really hard. um, and I almost feel guilty, and I know you do too, Bud, when you actually truly take a deep breath and relax.
Right.
It feels foreign and you feel guilty, but it's actually what's super important, especially right now, to
Yeah.
let the your brain waves just so overactive constantly, because we feel like we're, even though we're in quarantine or lockdown, whatever you want to call it, I still feel like I need to be going and going and going and then doing, and then I'm going to organize this and I'm going to
Right.
organize that. And
Right. I was gonna say that the notion of relaxing just isn't the absence of doing work. You know, so just because you're not working doesn't mean you're automatically relaxing. And I think that needs to be said too. And that relaxation is something that is supposed to be restoring our souls, like along along with God, something that brings us pleasure, that like winds us down a little bit and helps reground us. And so I needed to remember that as well. The idea that just because I'm not working doesn't mean I'm actually relaxing, doesn't mean I'm actually restoring anything, fulfilling anything within me, and bringing new life, if you will, into that. Um, so yeah, and then I love the pivot to um, the way Father Rob was talking about, like, okay, rest, relaxation, both are very important, but so is movement
Yeah.
and continuing to exercise and the idea of walking, and I like that a lot as well.
Yeah. And just feeling the, uh, being able to take a deep breath and feel that feeling of exertion.
Right,
And when, the hardest part of exercise for me is actually getting out and doing it. The actual physical activity isn't the hard part for me. It's the period of time leading up to that where
right,
it's like, ugh, I just don't want to. There's a
yeah,
million excuses that we classify as reasons, which they're not. They're excuses. Um, but exercise is so important for clearing out those cobwebs,
yeah.
and it gets all of your blood truly flowing, and then your blood can get to your brain and help the neurons connect, so that, because I mean, our brain's a muscle too,
Right.
right? And it needs activity, it needs the blood supply so that it doesn't wither like like an atrophied muscle would.
Right, and I think about this very much in an anthropological sense, the development of humanity, like as human beings. We're not used to sedentary lifestyles. We're not used to sitting in one place for extended periods of time and taking lots of time off. You know, the guys were the hunters and gatherers, and the women were planting a lot, and they were out in the fields. We were constantly moving, trying to ensure that we could provide for ourselves. And in the course of human development, that's changed a lot, and so
Yeah.
we're not active as much, and our brain isn't, our muscles and our brains aren't really receiving the level of endorphins that we've become accustomed to.
Yeah.
And so in that, we have to make sure that we're moving and exercising and giving the body the movement that it needs, that it's used to, that it's been accustomed to for thousands of years now.
Yeah.
Um, and then so with that, I love the idea of the cup overflowing be an example of making sure that we're eating right, and I like
Mm-hmm.
that a whole lot, and the
That's
importance
so true.
of the the food that God provided us here on earth, the fruits and the vegetables and the natural organic goods, like those are what actually sustain us and bring us the opportunity, the ability to have joy in this life.
Yeah. And you're so right, Zach, that when you eat crap, you feel like crap.
Absolutely.
And like, it's just so tempting though. Like, we bought this stuff like, oh, it's going to be like we're shut in for a blizzard and we're going to just make cookies and we're going to have junk food. And next thing you know, here we are like 2 months later and you're just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
feeling
2 weeks
like crap.
ago, my grocery run was a whole lot more money than I thought it was going to be. And I was very upset with myself. And I realized it's because I got home and I loaded up on snacks. I had just loaded up on snacks. And I was so upset with myself, not only because I wasted money, but I knew that my grocery budget just got blown on snacks. And
Yeah.
so I was like, come on, man. Like, so that next week I just had to do better.
And that's funny because when I met, sorry, my
You're
thing's
fine.
not, oh, it like turned around. Shit. Oh, sorry. Um, when I'm at the grocery store now, like when I see a bag of chips is like $3, I'm like, really? I'm gonna spend $3 on that? I'd really rather not. But it's hard right now stocking up on enough fruits and vegetables to, last a long time.
Right.
So, then I'm buying the canned fruit and those aren't necessarily good, but
Right.
um it is hard to eat well.
It is. And like, especially now, we're not growing as much of our own food anymore. Walmart, there aren't farms right next to the grocery stores, and farmers markets are having a hard time being open right now. So with all of that in our understanding, just eating right when we have the chance to is something that we need to be aware of.
It's not only that, when you're bored, you're more likely to eat
Yeah.
and eat. And so what I try to do is, if I feel like I'm hungry, I really assess, like, am I hungry or am I bored? And
Mm.
also, am I hungry or am I thirsty? Because most of the time, when your body tells you you're hungry, you're actually just thirsty.
Yeah, get a little bit more water in you.
Yeah, so drinking a lot of water. And I
Yeah,
made a
and so,
smoothie, so he just joined us. Good
hey,
morning.
Mayor. Good morning. I like the idea staying with cup overflows, that the cup overflows from what the shepherd's providing, and I think that needs to be just highlighted a little bit. It's what the Lord is providing to us that is so important. um and in that recognition that this is the Lord's, like, this is what the Lord is providing for us, we should then like appreciate that a little bit more, and recognizing like these fruits and vegetables were like given to us by God for our nourishment, for our well-being, so that we can sustain ourselves both physically and mentally. And thank the Lord for that. Thank the Lord that that exists for us here and now in this time.
Well,
And
and
you know.
that's important too, Zach, to pray before you eat.
Hmm.
Pray, like, we have a canned prayer, which I'm not always a fan of canned prayers, but our blessing before meals, giving thanks for this food that we are about to eat and allow it to nourish our body so that we can carry out your good works.
Right.
And I
Right.
think so many people just blow past that. Food hits the plate and we're just diving right in and being more thoughtful about, why are we eating? What are we eating? Where did it come from?
Mm.
This is a blessing that came from God and the work of others' hands.
Yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely. You cannot. Yeah, thank you for stating that. Cannot neglect the fact that there are still people out there working very hard, picking our crops by hand, and who
mhm.
are out there at the rise of the sun, and who are going home at dusk.
Well, and not only that, like, think of the whole supply chain of the people who are packaging it.
Yeah.
They're the truck industry that are still going, and
Yeah.
they the then you've got the grocery store people. There's still a whole lot of people that are putting themselves in potential danger of contracting the virus just so we can have our bellies full.
Right. And
And so,
thank the Lord for that. And like, you want to just pray a prayer of protection for them, for
yeah,
those who are putting themselves at risk every single day, so that I can stay home and that I can eat.
yeah. Well, and likewise on that, you've got, if you use Instacart or any of the grocery deliveries or even the Amazon
Right.
people that
Right.
bring it to your door so you don't have to go out and, put yourself at risk. And that those things, that's why I try to remember to say a blessing over my food before eating, and just pausing for that second and thanking the Lord for that, that which came from him. And there are so many people right now with the economy in the tank that don't have a full plate to eat right now.
Yeah. I mean, you saw the pictures. I'm sure you saw the St. Matt's
Hmm.
service this morning, but the images of that side classroom, it looked like a portion of, Link. It looked
Hmm.
stocked like Link,
Yeah.
and that Link being the food pantry in town, because I know not everybody knows that, but it was miraculous to see that. But it was a representation of the need in that community. All of that is very much needed. It will probably go out this week, and the
Hmm.
need will still be there afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. All of the food pantries nationwide are just cranking on all cylinders to try and meet the need.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, you're like, oh, well, why would they need diapers? Why do you need diapers there? But diapers are so expensive. And the, the parent of a child, if they're not able to even provide the basics like diapers,
Mm-hmm.
leads to greater depression in that
Mm.
parent,
Right. Oh yeah.
because they feel like, I can't provide for my young child, and the child gets more sick because they're not able, it's a
And
whole cycle.
oh yeah, and not to mention the fact that the price of, and I don't know this, I'm not a parent, but the price of diapers probably has gone up because the same materials that go into making a diaper go into your toilet paper and go into the
Oh yeah.
masks and things like that. So when those kind of essential items go up, it's not that diapers are any less essential. It's that that's just what gets increased along with everything else. And so it is such a shame to see all of that.
They're hugely
Um,
expensive, just even from aside from all of this that's going on. Diapers are
yeah.
crazy expensive.
Oh
And
yeah.
um quick
So
story.
remember that
What
youth. Remember that youth. Diapers are crazy expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And when you guys were little, someone who was, older and wiser than me said, when your kids are out of diapers, put that same amount away every month or every week, whatever your savings plan is, because that's going to be about the same cost of college tuition.
ooh, oof, big oof.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. If
Remind
you
me of that whenever I have a kid.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
need it
Yeah.
anytime soon, but
Yeah, no.
later.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So,
and
sorry, we
so
get so far off
yeah, yeah.
track sometimes. Sorry.
So and I liked going back to the psalm. We're gonna go look at verse 6 real quick in the way that it highlights a two-way street in that relationship. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. It's a two-way thing. It's a promise. It's this is what I'm going to be doing, and this is what I trust that God's going to be doing for me. And
Mm-hmm.
so that really brought the natural next question in my head was, how am I supposed to dwell in the house of the Lord right now? How is that? How is that a possibility for me in this time? And I could see how people would feel disconnected from the house of the Lord since we're not able to be in church. And so this past week, I started a biography on Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And one of the things that he writes in his journal is, where people praise, there's the church. And where is the church, there's never loneliness. And so I like that idea of we can dwell in the house of the Lord by establishing the church in our own homes by prayer.
Yeah.
And
And
in that,
the church, we think of the church as the building.
right.
The church is not the building.
Mm-hmm.
Church is the fellowship of his chosen people,
Yeah, the community.
the
Absolutely.
community. It's the community that is the church. And that's one of the really cool things. I'm always looking at the bright side of things, is that this weird world we're in right now really drives that message home, that we don't have to be tied to the building,
Mm,
but to be fill to fill that God-shaped hole in your heart, you still have to be part of and participate in the community of Christ.
right.
It's not just, hey, yeah, I'm reading my Bible and I'm saying my prayers, and okay, yeah, thanks for the food or whatever. It's participating and helping each other grow,
Right.
and know and understand who Christ is to each of us individually, yet collectively. And it's reaching out to a friend that might be lonely. If you're lonely, other people are lonely. And if
Mm,
you're lonely, we have the ability to reach out to people. And it's hard to reach out and be like, yeah, like I'm lonely. Woe is me, I'm lonely. But just, hey, how are you doing? And get out of our own head.
oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
I from again, the church building, that's great. There's many different types of churches, but I'm very excited that our world can understand it's more than the building. And I feel like,
Yeah.
at the outset of the, like, imagine 6 months ago, I would have bet a whole lot of money that there's no way that this government could shut our churches. Like, we have
Mm,
the right to worship. You can't tell me I can't go to my church.
sure.
But that's where we are. It's the right thing to do. I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do. However, as Christians, we have gone like, all right. So back in the time of Jesus, they didn't have big fancy churches.
Right. That's where I was going with this. Four
All right,
weeks
go ahead.
after Easter. No, I was just gonna say, think about it. We're about a month away from Easter at this point. 4 weeks afterwards, they were still trying to wrap their heads around everything. They were, still locking their doors in fear of persecution from the outside world. They were still gathering in their homes, doing church services in their homes, praying together, in that way. And we saw this pattern established for years as Paul went from town to town trying to set up churches. Paul and Peter, both of them, trying to set up churches in new cities and stuff like that. But they all started in the home.
Yeah,
That's where it always began. And so
yeah,
to feel like your home can also be a church is a powerful, powerful thing.
yeah. And to really use this as an opportunity to understand our own faith
Yeah,
and and truly bring it home. And if you think of your body as your home, right? This is
yeah,
our home. This is our earthly home. That we need Christ to dwell within us. And
yeah.
how do we how do we do that? And that's an individual thing, because showing up at church on Sunday, that doesn't mean a thing.
Mm,
That showing up at church on Sunday doesn't mean a thing if you are sitting there thinking about that you want to get to the next level on this game. I like my
mm.
game.
Oh yeah, I know.
But if you just showing up and being a body, seats in the pew, butts in the pew, that doesn't mean anything. It's it's so that's the really cool thing about this time is showing us that the building and being in the church isn't
Where the
where
magic happens,
that's not
and
where you find the fulfillment.
right.
But I mean, Papa Jim, Zach's grandpa,
Hmm.
his butt's in the pew every Saturday night, every Sunday, whatever. But he's also the first one to cuss as he leaves out of the parking lot. So, Papa Jim, what's up? You know?
Yeah, yeah, and don't want to throw any shade at Grandpa Jim, but I did
Mm-hmm.
not learn my practices of worship from him. I have a lot of great stories, but
Probably
the
learned your curse words from him, though.
the practice of Saturday afternoon at the bar, Saturday evening at the church, and then after church back to the bar is not a sustainable practice for us, ladies and gentlemen. That is
No.
if you walk away with anything from this, that is not the sustainable practice. That does not mean you churched. And
Yeah.
I think that that's what we're seeing in all of this is like within the sixth verse of the psalm today, you see that it's a two-way street, and in this time we're really being called to our own level of participation in that. Yeah,
Yeah. And again, it's how is Christ in your heart? Did you invite him into your heart today? It's
yeah,
a daily choice.
right, right.
And that for me is where I will dwell in the house of the Lord. It it's not a physical building. It's the sense of peace that comes from the daily choices that I make that I know are consistent as
Right.
I try to be more Christ-like.
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely agree. And so when I was taking notes on all of this last night and this morning, I wrote, um, at the end, I like to do a little summary thing. So we talked about, getting enough sleep and the idea of resting beside still waters, relaxing, and lying down in green pastures. And I really do think that those two things are different. And one that is like restoring the soul, and one is restoring the mind. And then going into, eating right and exercise is doing right by your body. Um, and all of this to say is like, that is the job. Like, so this is the job of the sheep in all of this. But like,
Right.
let's not confuse the job of the sheep with the job of the shepherd. Let's not overreach our bounds. Let's not try and give ourselves too much credit here, and recognize, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and this is what I'm under control of, and making sure I get enough sleep, and making sure that I'm taking time to restore myself, to making sure that I'm eating right and exercising. But like, that's what's in my control, and everything else is in God's.
And the way that Father Rob tied it back to like where we are right now, if you were sick, or
Mm-hmm.
if you want to get better, you're going to follow the doctor's orders.
Right.
Like being well, getting well, if you're sick, like when I had cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted to get better, so I'm going to follow the doctor's orders.
Right.
So I feel like that passage today was the doctor's orders, so to speak. The Lord says, this is your part in this. I'm not going to just, this isn't rub the magic genie pot
Mm.
this is, I'm telling you, God telling us, this is what I expect from you. Like, I'm going to give this to you. I'm going to lead you to the still waters. But, you know, if you're
But
in
you
that,
have to drink from the still waters. You can always lead the horse to the water, but you can never force it to drink.
right. But I feel like that's an outline for us.
Yeah.
This is the outline. He's telling us, I will do this for you, but you still have to take your medicine. You
Mm-hmm.
still have to. Da,
Right.
da, da, da. It's
And the
not
medicine being
medicine.
prayer, the meditation being an active participation in the dwelling in the house of the Lord.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I love Psalm 23. Will probably always be one of my favorites. Um, so there was a teacher's assistant who said this in one of my lectures this year, and I don't know how much I agree with it, but it was this idea that, we trust doctors to heal us, um, and in that, there's a level of expectation for a level of pain. It's not comfortable to go to the doctors. It's not comfortable to have surgery done. There's a period of rehabilitation, and in that, there's some discomfort and all of that. Why don't we expect the same from God? Why, and like, in our own healing, in our own internal process of healing, and we expect it to be fun, painless, easy, free flow, like, and all of that. But like, we
Praise and
sometimes we
worship
just,
band, rock.
right, sometimes we need
Woo!
to adjust our expectations of, in this, I'm not going to be able to continue to do some of the same practices I've had in the past. I'm going to have to cut some things out of my life, and that might be painful. But in the long run, this is what's best for me. This is what's going to heal me in the long run. And I
Even
really like that imagery sometimes.
even in that, when we fully give ourselves to Christ, and like leading up to that, you're like, yeah, but I really like to, whatever that sin is that's in your life, I would really
Right.
like to keep doing that. But at the point where so I'll speak just personally, when I felt I truly accepted Christ into my heart and gave myself to Him, I didn't want those things from before. I didn't
Mm.
want to live like that. And it, like, just that, the whole shift in my brain. Um, I wanted the things that I did with my mind and my mouth and my body to glorify Him. And the old me, that's not me anymore.
Right.
But those are
Right.
still daily choices. But I
Yeah.
don't have the same desire to live the unholy way that I may have lived before.
Yeah. No,
Just
that's a really, really good point, Mom. Thank you
choices.
for bringing that up.
Choices. What did I used to say when you went out the door every day to school?
Make good choices. You said make good choices. Yes. Yes. And I made some plenty of days of good and plenty of days of not so good choices. With that, I will let you guys go. So just yeah, guys, make sure we're getting enough sleep. Make sure we're taking time to relax and understanding that just because we're not working doesn't mean we're actually relaxing and restoring ourselves. And eat right in all this. If you feel yourself mentally kind of slipping, physically slipping, energy wise, just make sure you've been eating right and
Make good choices.
make good choices. Yeah. Thanks, Mom. I'll let y'all go. Don't forget about EYC tonight. We're going to be playing a game next week for EYC. We're doing a Bible trivia. Shout out to Mama Rugen for that idea. And Bible study on Wednesday.
Love
Thanks,
you,
Mom.
bud.
Bye, man. I love you.
Bye.
Bye. All right.